Fisher, and I'm willing to bet that each one of you watching this video are sick and tired of paying the high fuel prices we've been paying the last 4 or 5 years. The high price of fuel are impacting our economy in a bad way, and it's affecting everybody. It's affecting where you go to work, how much you bring home now because of what you have to put in your fuel tank. But there is an alternative, and I thought about this back in '07 when gas prices were going up. I had read somewhere about biofuel, about taking used vegetable oil from McDonald's and fast food chains and using that with some acid and water and a machine and making diesel fuel. But since we didn't have a diesel vehicle at the time, it seemed not feasible. I'd even thought at one point of getting a motor scooter to go back and forth to work. I think it was going about 15 miles each way that time, and it was hurting. So I thought about the ethanol. And I looked up at homemade ethanol, and I came up on Robert Warren's website about homemade ethanol. There are a bunch of other ones out there. There are a whole bunch of people who made them. I like this one because this one was dedicated to making fuel for vehicles. This was specifically in the late 70s. A bunch of people got together in Southern California, Robert Warren being one of them. And they made some stills. They helped other people make some stills. And I think with all the stills out there now, I think it's called the Charles 803, which is on Robert Warren's website. And I think that's still the best one. You can make big ones, small ones, and they work basically the same way. They make 180 proof ethanol each time. I know I built a 3-inch one. And at that time, my wife and I lived in New Jersey, and we had a 5-acre parcel that was commercial zone, but we weren't allowed to do any burning of any kind or any kind of outdoor. It was just very, very hard to do ethanol on that property. So we moved to a farm in central New York, and we got a permit from the TTB, which is Tobacco Trade Bureau, which is part of the United States government. We got an alcohol permit to produce ethanol. And we also, at that time, even though we lived on a farm, we had to get a town permit. And we got a town variance permit also. By the time we got the permit and everything, we had also bought a small dairy farm. We started dairy farming. And we spent all our time in that winter doing dairy farming. We got a bad batch of cows, which is another story. But anyway, we're back to where we want to start doing this again. And the idea is to take supermarket waste and use it at restaurant waste, breweries, any beer that breweries throw away, wineries throw some wine away, anything that will produce sugar, and boil it into a beer mash. Now, beer mash is simply a word for taking any kind of sugar or anything that contains sugar, vegetables, fruits, obviously cereal, sugar, etc., and mixing it with water. Bringing it to a boil, adding some enzymes, and then adding yeast. And the long way to do it, and that's why it was intensive at first. I didn't realize that distilling is real easy. The first time I did it after I built my still in New Jersey is I got a 30-gallon keg of beer that was no good anymore. Still had some alcohol content though. And distilled it. Real easy. It's a real simple process. And then what I didn't realize at the time is making the beer mash was the harder part. But since then, I've researched a lot, refined some things, and instead of taking a normal 2 or 3 weeks for the yeast to work to get the highest alcohol content out of the mash, you can use direct steam injection and cut that time to 1 to 2 hours, which is obviously the way we would be doing it. So picking up building a small plant, picking up the waste from the supermarkets and restaurants, and manufacturing, making the ethanol and transporting it, would come to about 25 to 50 cents a gallon. I think it'd probably be closer to 25 cents, but to be sure, you would have no more cost than 50 cents a gallon. And obviously, if you sold it for $2 or $2.50 a gallon right now, you'd be the cheapest in the country. You'd have lines around the block. Some of you are old enough to remember the oil embargo during the late 70s. where in New York we had to have the last number. It was even number. You got your gas on even days. Odd number, you got your gas on odd numbers. I don't know how the rest of the country did it, but that's how we did it in New York at that time. This would not include any farming. There'd be no diesel fuel paid out for that. We wouldn't have the cost of grinding corn as they do now when they make ethanol. The ethanol that comes in the large plants they have around the country comes from corn. Yes, of course it costs them more than $1 per gallon to make, because you have to farm the corn, you have to grind the corn, you have to dry the corn, and then you have to process the corn. It's much harder than using waste. And this is garbage that has to be thrown away anyway. Now, there's a lot of beauties about this ethanol, this 180 proof ethanol, which is 90% alcohol. The TTB, which is the federal agency that controls making ethanol in this country, requires that after you make the ethanol, very soon thereafter, you denature it. Can use kerosene, little diesel fuel, anything that would make it undrinkable. They don't want you to sell this as moonshine, obviously, because they want their money if you make moonshine. Like I said, you could watch many videos on how to make ethanol. It's real simple. Some people make it on top of their stovetop just to show you how it's done. It's a real simple process. It's real easy to make. The other beauty about it is it's high octane. 180 proof ethanol is around 114 octane. So if you have a car, an older car maybe, that still requires a very high octane, 93 plus, you have no problem with that. Another beauty is that you can add some vegetable oil, about 10 to 15%, and you have diesel fuel. You can use it in any diesel vehicle, and you can also use it in as home heating oil. You just have to change your nozzle. Now, as far as with use it in carburetors, yes, you can use it in carburetors. They do use American ethanol. I don't know what the percentage is in NASCAR, and in the Indy cars, I think they use 100% alcohol. But it can be used in carburetors. You just have to draw it. The ports have to be bigger, and you have to make sure the gaskets will not be affected with the ethanol. The ethanol also will clean out your gas tank. If you have an older car, you might have a lot of sediment in there. You have to always make sure you have a good filter, because it will clean everything. Your engines will run real clean. There's also a website which I did not put up here, but it's a Robert Warren's old alcohol forum. It's run by his daughter now. He passed away in 2004 of cancer. I would like to see that more active. I know I've been on it numerous times. There's really not too many people right on it, and that's www.alcohol4fuel.com. And maybe we could get that going again, and more people would be more aware of what's going on with this. Sorry for the notes here, but I had this all put together. I have it all in my mind. I've done this many, many times in my mind. And what we want to try to do is we want to try to get this started with making ethanol from garbage. And it would put a lot of people to work. Number one, just constructing the facilities, making the ethanol, making the stills, and of course manufacturing and distribution. As far as selling it, we have absolutely no problem selling it. You wouldn't have to start out with gas stations. You start out selling to farmers. The dyed one, of course, where you don't have to pay the tax. And there's another beauty about it too, as far as taxes go. In New York State, you get to keep 2/3 of the tax you collect. You have to charge whatever fuel taxes due, you have to charge the people you sell it to. But you get to keep 2/3 of that. You only have to send 1/3 in. The other beauty of it is, for a facility that's under one ownership, the first 60 million gallons a year that you make, the federal government sends you a check for 10 cents, which is not a bad thing. And it'll give the opportunity for lower and middle class people to work. Our idea is to get these little plants started all over the place and have many more people back to work. And so the main reason for this video is that not only make people aware of what can be done out there, but we want to get started. And we think if we got started, we know when we get started, that we'll be able to sell it and make plenty of money, and other people can make plenty of money too. So what we want to do is we're going to issue preferred stock from a corporation for anybody that wants to invest to send in money, $25 plus. For the first 10,000 investors, regardless of the dollar amount, you could be a $25 investor, you would get 15 preferred stock for every dollar that you invest. 15 preferred stock for every dollar you invest. And we want to get started. Once we get investments of around $25,000, we want to get started. It's going to take about a month and a half to 2 months to get up and running. Then we produce about 2,000 to 3,000 gallons in a 24-hour period. Again, the actual cost would be between 25 and 50 cents. That includes the picking it up. So even if we sell, even for $2 a gallon, that's a profit of $1.50 per gallon. Clear profit. So you can see it would be between $2,000 and $3,000 minimum a day profit. So we'd be able to pay dividends back relatively quickly. This idea is around 5 years old in my mind. A lot of times have passed, and it's way past time to act. So we're asking if you want to get on the ground floor of something big, and I believe that it's not only something big, but it's something that's going to save our economy and put a lot of people to work. This is the way to go. So inviting you for our website, and there's a way in there that you can invest. If you have any questions, you can email us, and we'll certainly get back to you. And we hope that this goes viral fast and gets a lot of people involved, and we get started to $2 to $2.50 a gallon for really good fuel. And not only could you pay less yourself, but you've been making money at the same time, helping other people pay less and helping a lot of people get back to work. So looking to see you on our website, and we're going to update our website every day and let you know how everything is going. Thank you very much.